These are the top 5 best guns with the best setups to be using right now in Warzone 3. With the first setup being an honorable mention, this is the Striker 9, which they buffed in one of the recent updates, and this thing is so much better now. And with this build, you're going to have a lot of mobility. Everyone is going to absolutely hate you. So we are going to be adding the Zent compensated flash hider. This is going to be one of the best muzzles for recoil control. If you're building your own build and you don't know what to use for the muzzle, use this flash hider and you are going to notice there is way less recoil on the gun. And then increase that damage range, we are going to be adding the Striker Recon Long Barrel. This is also going to give us a lot of aim and idle stability, making it easier to hit that first shot. And we all know when you hit that first shot, you have a higher chance to actually win that gunfight. Then next up, since we always need the extra ammo in Warzone, we are going to be running the 40 round mag. That's kind of a given on every single class I'm going to be giving you. For the rear grip, we are going to use the Socken ZX grip, which is going to give us the fire aim and stability and that gun kick control. That is what's going to make the weapon super easy to use. If you're ever making your own build and you want that recoil control, add a lot of gun kick control and fire aim and stability. The horizontal and vertical is still important, but the other stuff carries a little bit more. And then just to increase that mobility even more, we got the no stock on there. If you do want more recoil control, then I would add the priority stock. This one is good, but I already noticed that there really wasn't any recoil on the gun to begin with, so we don't really need to add more recoil control, and we can take advantage of that mobility and then use our primary to get in the enemy's face a little bit quicker, which a primary I really like is going to be the MTZ762. You guys probably already have a good build, but I rest assure you this build is going to be a little bit better. You guys can see ADS speed pretty good. Doesn't need to be super fast for, the long range weapon. Recoil control, a little bit of recoil, but you're not going to make a build with less recoil. So for the muzzle, we got the Cbass Break L. This is going to remove all the horizontal recoil. I was going to add like the compensated flash hider or something else that just adds like overall recoil control rather than just horizontal, but I noticed this gun just was a complete beam when you have a lot of horizontal. Then we also get the fire aim and stability, which is going to help for that vertical as well. Then to increase that damage range, we got the MTZ Precision Black Throwing Barrel. It's going to increase that bullet velocity and the range, making your weapon feel more responsive. Fire aim and stability, so we get that recoil control. Even though it doesn't say we get it, we are going to be getting that. We are going to be losing a little bit of our mobility, but since this is the primary, it's not going to really matter. And then we get the aim and idle stability, again, making it easy to hit that first shot. So now we got the recoil control and we got the range, but we do need a little bit more range since, you're going to be using this at range. So we are going to be adding the high grade rounds. This is going to hurt the recoil control a decent amount, so if you are going to take off anything on the build, I would take off the high grade rounds, and then you can add like an optic or a rear grip or an underbarrel, just for your liking. The reason I really like the high grade rounds is because this gun really has like no damage range. If we don't run them, we only have 23.8 meters, which is really bad, but that kind of shows you how strong this gun is. And keep in mind, the fire rate's not that fast, so you do need to hit your shots. Whenever you do miss a shot, the time to kill is drastically going to go up. Then for the magazine, the biggest one that we can add is the 30 round mag. I wish we could get like a 40 or something on there. And then lastly, just to maximize that recoil control, we are going to be using the close quarters. Gives us that gun kick control and the recoil control. If you guys do want a screenshot of the best MTZ762, there you guys go. Not sure if I gave you guys a screenshot of the Striker 9. Love this thing. So for the next build that we are going to be going over, this is going to be the TAC Evolver. I love this thing. This is a very underrated LMG. I wasn't going to add it to the list because not that many people run it, but then I was like, oh, that's a great reason to add it to the list. You guys can see pretty good ADS, actually a very atrocious ADS, but so much recoil control. This thing is insane at taking out squads. You don't really need it if you only play like solos and things, but if you're playing squads, this thing absolutely shreds through people since we got the Spirit Fire to keep us off the radar, so then they don't really know where we're at, and we get a lot of damage range, plus we get that recoil control. Yes, we are losing ADS speed, but usually the Spirit Fire takes down about 20%, but it's only bringing it down by 12%, which is awesome, so that is a must on this gun. Again, for the barrel to increase that range, we got the LRF Righteous Long Barrel. It's going to increase the velocity as well. We get the aim and idle stability, aim walking speed, which always strafe in your gunfights, even at long range. That's kind of like how you have to aim in this game. Always aim while you're strafing. Strafe to aim. You don't really want to use the right stick to aim. You want to use this to control recoil, but then you use the left stick to kind of aim, and that makes it a lot easier to actually stay on target because then you are going to be activating your rotational aim assist. Even if you're on keyboard and mouse, that's kind of like, I guess keyboard and mouse is a little bit different, but controller, you want to strafe to aim. A little bit awkward at first, but once you're used to it, that's how you become a top tier player. Then for the optic, you don't really need this, but since I'm usually using this against like squads and, playing a tiny bit slower since it is a light machine gun, Corio Eagle's Eye is going to work out very well for this thing. It's just going to be the best optic in my opinion. if you want to use a gun at range. Again, you can add a laser, underbarrel, ammunition, or a, maybe the Jack eyeless. That one's pretty good. Overall, I like that one. Then for the stock, we are going to be adding the Rampart heavy stock. Again, we get that gun kick control. I kind of run a attachment, like a stock that gives me gun kick control on all my primaries, since that really makes the gun just not shake whatsoever. Then we can just keep ourselves off the radar with the muzzle and just increase that range. Yes, we are losing a lot of our mobility, but again, it is a long range weapon. That's not going to really matter too much. And same reasons go for the XRK response grip. It's going to increase the aim and auto stability, which is very helpful when you're running a scope, since you can notice that sway a little bit more. And also, if you don't hit the first shot, typically want to stop firing and then start firing again, since it's just going to be a little bit hard to land the rest of the shots. We also get that recoil control and gun kick control. Also, because when you hit the first shot, you're gonna have aim assist help you control the recoil in the weapon, making it easier to hit the rest of these shots. And yeah, it's kind of crucial for this HRM9 build. The HRM9, if you're up close, it's gonna fry. Medium range, not the best gun, especially since it just got nerfed, but it is a close range weapon, and this is definitely the best close range weapon in the game right now. Gonna absolutely fry. There's just a little bit of recoil, so you need to hit that first shot, which the composite flash hider is going to help you do so. And it's also going to shorten the radar ping. If you want, you can run a suppressor, but I noticed myself being a little bit more consistent when I ran the composite flash hider, and it's kind of like a half suppressor. Then we also get the vertical and horizontal, then the fire aim and stability with basically no cons at all. This is definitely like the best attachment in the game. And in the Pro League, not in like Warzone Pro League, but in the CDL Pro League, they banned the composite flash hider because it's so good. Then for the underbarrel, to bring up that mobility, allowing you to move around the map a little bit quicker and strafe quicker. This is going to make it easier to activate that rotational aim assist, and you're just going to be able to move around quicker. We got the DR6 hand stop. You guys can take a look at that mobility and the handling. It's just going to really bump the weapon up. Yes, there's going to be a little bit of recoil, so you might want to add the Chimera if you suck at the game, but then again, I think it's better to just practice with the DR6 hand stuff. One way you can practice, if you got Modern Warfare 2, you can go into a private match, go against bots, just get a bunch of kills in there. Or you could even just go into I don't really know the way for Warzone, since there's no like private match. I really wish there was like a private match for Warzone, but they probably don't do that because they want you to buy Modern Warfare 3, which is a little bit annoying. And then for the range though, since there really isn't that much range on this gun and they just nerfed the range, we are going to be adding the high grain rounds. It's going to increase that bullet velocity and the damage range. Yes, we are losing recoil control, but it's definitely worth it for all that range that we are getting. Plus we get more bullet velocity, making the gun just overall feel a lot more responsive. Then again, since we always need extra ammo, we got the 50 round mag, and then a stock on here that's really going to help you just control the gun. We got the folding stock, gives you recoil control, gun kick control, and firing aim and stability. Best of all 3 worlds. It makes the gun super easy to use, basically losing no ADS speed. This is definitely one of my favorite SMGs in the game. If you don't win that much, you're gonna love this thing. So if you want a screenshot, there you guys go. And if you guys haven't already hit the subscribe button with the noties on, I would definitely do so. Only if you want to get better though. If you don't want to get better at the game, don't do that. Leave a like though, that is a must. I don't give a shit if you like the video or not. Well, if you enjoy the video, but you have to like the video. This WSP9, very, very good, but there is an open bolt delay. Basically, when you go to pull the trigger, there's a delay of like 50 milliseconds, I think it is. And so it's good, but if you miss, it's horrible. So make sure you hit your shots. And this thing has such a fast time to kill that they added that open bolt delay, so then it's not so overpowered. And one way it's really overpowered is if you're in the enemy's face. So we're going to be adding the short light barrel, so it's a little bit easier to get around the map and get in the enemy's face. You can pull up the gun a little bit faster. As you guys can see, we get that handling increase with only losing a little bit of our recoil control. With the underbarrel, this is going to be the one that I would take off if you want an optic, or if you want a more recoil control, you can go to the rear grip and add the Marauder grip. This is very good. Or if you want a suppressor, I like this build though. DR6 hand stop, we all know it just really maximizes the mobility, allows you to get around the map quicker. You can pull up the gun quicker. You can just be a lot more quick. She did not say that. And then for the ammunition, we are going to be adding the high grain rounds to increase that damage range. Usually we increase the damage range with the barrel, but since we got mobility with the barrel, we are going to be using the high grain rounds to increase that damage range. Then for the magazine, we got the 40 round mag. This is just, so we don't run out of ammo when we're fighting 15 different people and people just keep coming behind you. And then for the stock, we are going to be adding this one that's called the factory stock. just to increase that mobility. Again, allows you to get around the map a little bit quicker. We are losing recoil control, so this build might be a little bit tough to use, which is why I was saying to take off maybe the DR6 hand stuff or the stock if you want a sight or if you want something else. As long as you're in the enemy's phase and hit first shot, you are going to be doing very, very, very well with this weapon. You could even take off the high grain rounds, but overall, this is just like my favorite build. There isn't like one best build in the game necessarily. It's kind of like personal preference. Next up, we got the Ram 7. I think this is more of like a top 6, top 7 best weapons, but I'll definitely take a screenshot of all these. These are very good. This is my favorite AR in the game right now. I think it's the best one in the entire game as well. You guys can see there's no recoil on this build. It is so easy to use, but I do have a few different variations. So obviously, compensate flash hider is going to be a very good muzzle. Overall recoil control, fire aim, and stability. This is my personal favorite one since it doesn't really hurt the ADS that much, so I can still play decently aggressive with it. Another good one is going to be the Cbass break. This one is going to eliminate all these side-to-side bounce, but it doesn't give you any vertical. So then when you have less vertical recoil control and a lot of horizontal recoil control, it makes the gun look like that, because when you get the vertical recoil control, it's going to squish the recoil, and when you squish it, it's going to get more wide, so then you have more horizontal. But if you have all horizontal, it's going to make it very skinny but a lot of vertical, if that makes sense. And so with the Cbass, it is so unbelievably satisfying. It's just a little bit weird that you're going to need some practice to get used to. You're not going to do good right off the bat with that. Another good one is going to be the Jack BFB. This one's going to be the best for recoil control, but as you guys can see, there is so many cons for the mobility and the range to where not that many people run it anymore. It's just a little bit annoying, but it's still very good if you want that recoil control. You guys can see how we have a lot of horizontal, a lot of vertical recoil control. It's making the gun bounce side to side, even though this one gives us more horizontal recoil control than the Cbass. But this one is super easy to use because there's just a little bit of shake, but there's no vertical at all. Overall though, I really like the compensate flash hider, so I'm going to be throwing that one on. Spirit fire is good if you want to be off the radar. And then for the barrel to increase that range, we are going to be running the Cronin headwind long barrel. It's also going to give us that aiming auto stability, again making it easier to hit that first shot. Then once we hit that first shot, that fire and aiming stability is going to make it easier to stay on target. And yes, losing mobility, but again, it is a primary, doesn't really matter too much. With the underbarrel, since this gun has a lot of side-to-side bounce, we are going to be using the best underbarrel to compensate that. The Bruin heavy support grip gives us the gun kick control, aiming auto stability, fire and aiming stability, and the horizontal recoil control, with losing a little bit of our ADS speed. And again, we are losing more vertical recoil, but that's why we got the muzzle on there to bring down the vertical. So now we have no horizontal recoil, we have no vertical recoil, we have a lot of range, and then we have the 40 round mag so we don't run out of ammo. If you're playing against squads or you notice yourself always running out of ammo, then I would run the 60. Usually I do better with the 40, and I can play pretty aggressive with this thing. Then for the stock, we are going to be adding the HVS pad. It's just going to increase that gun kick control, recoil control. Definitely the best stock if you want that recoil control. Another very good one is going to be the Hunker. If we look at the detailed stats, you guys can see it looks a little bit worse, but it's actually in a way could be better because you're not losing any sprint speed or tactical sprint speed. Most of us are tac sprinting around the map, so you actually can get around the map a little bit quicker with the Hunker 5, and there's basically the same amount of recoil control, but this one's a little bit easier to use, just a tad easier. Doesn't really matter though too much. And that's gonna wrap it up for the Ram 7. So if you guys want a screenshot, there you guys go. And is that gonna wrap it up for the entire video? Oh, here's the last one. This is gonna be the Ram 9. I was going to include this, but this is the top 5 best setup, so I know a lot of you guys want the best stuff. Ram 9 just got nerfed, so now it's like the second best SMG next to the HRM9. HRM9 is better, and then Ram is next up, and then after that, I believe it goes like AMR 9 and Striker 9. It kind of doesn't really matter from there. If you want a good Striker class, I would definitely look on the channel. I probably already have one of those up. And then look at the recoil control, and here we get a lot of horizontal. We all know the Rams have a lot of side-to-side bounce. This is going to eliminate that side-to-side bounce. Yes, we are losing damage range, and this thing just got a damage range nerf. So if that is really annoying, add the exempt compensated flash hider, the Spirit Fire suppressor, the Shadow Strike suppressor, Jack BFB, or the compensated flash hider. I'll probably start running this one a lot, but the Purifier is so satisfying since it really makes the gun easy to use. Same with the DR6 hand stop, it just makes the gun super clean, super easy to get around the map and just pull up your gun a lot faster than the enemies. Then we got the high grain rounds to increase that damage range that we are losing in that recent nerf. Yes, adding a lot of, we're losing a lot of recoil control, which is another reason why I got this muzzle, but could add the compensate flash hider, and then it still will be pretty good. And then we got the 50 round magazine. This one's a little bit weird. So Multiplayer, I really like the 40 because I don't really want to lose that many cons, and like the 10 round isn't that bad. But in Warzone, you kind of notice the difference. So try them both out and use the one that you like most. It really depends on your playstyle. If you're bad at the game and you miss a lot of shots, you kind of need the 50. But if you're the best and you never miss and you always get the timings right on your reload, probably could do better with the 40 round mag. And then for the comb, we got the recon comb. Just increase the mobility and that sprint to fire speed. Sprint to fire speed on this gun is horrible, so this is just going to make it a lot better. This is kind of like a must on every ram build, is to have that recon comb. And so overall, you guys should be able to pop off with that build. And I would include more guns and things to this, but it's top 5 for a reason. I got to give you guys a reason to watch the next top 5. But with all that said, you guys all have a good day and deuces.